Welcome back to another episode of Consciously Clueless. I'm your host, Carly, and here we break down complex issues around health, the climate crisis, and social justice through a vegan lens. We'll talk about the magic link between your well-being and the planet's health, because luckily, choosing a healthier, mindful lifestyle for yourself often creates healthier vibes for our planet too. Staying consciously clueless means getting to show up knowing nothing, but staying open to all that you can learn. From feasting on plant-based meals and reducing waste to learning to meditate, every step you take contributes to your wellness and makes systematic change for the world. You can make a difference. This podcast will show you how. Hello, listeners. This is another episode from the Consciously Clueless Vault back from January of 2024 with Maria Cebrian, founder of vegan vitamin company Terraseed. I stumbled across Terraseed when I was doing research, trying to find the most sustainable vegan vitamin on the market for myself, and Terraseed is truly it. They are another example of a company that I think is trying to do things differently in these systems, in this world, even when it's really hard. Maria's commitment to her mission to creating a beautiful, nutrition-filled vegan vitamin that does not wreak havoc on our planet, on animals, on other humans is inspiring. Give this episode a listen and stay tuned for more. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you, Carly. It's really nice to be here with you today.
I was thinking before we were hopped on to record today that I've known you for a couple years now. It's wild
Even
what
longer.
time does.
Maybe even longer, Carly. I'm thinking over 2 years. Yeah, like
Yeah, really, truly.
time flies. It's long.
It does. We know each other because you are a founding member of Terraseed, the vegan vitamin company that I started using and connected with you all and have been connected with since. Can you tell us a little bit about Terraseed and where it came from?
Totally. Well, Terraseed is the most sustainable and ethical supplement brand in the US for sure. And it was born in September 2020. So it was just in the midst of COVID. It was so crazy. We never saw that coming. I founded the company mainly because of my own need as a vegan. I had been a vegetarian for many years and I decided to go fully vegan at some point. Also a mountain runner, long distance mountain runner. So it was a big concern about getting all the nutrients I needed as an athlete. And I started supplementing. And I was taking like all these different supplements, right? Especially when you're starting on a vegan diet, like a full vegan diet, it takes time to figure out like meals and how to prep meals and nutrition. So I decided to take all these different supplements and vitamin D3 and B12 and omegas and everything. And I hated it.
I'm laughing because I relate.
And I was like, oh my God, like carrying all these bottles everywhere. And they were all made with plastic. Like I became vegan because of the environment mostly. And then like with time is for everything, right? It's health, it's animals, of course. But at that point, I was like very concerned about the environment. So I was like, oh my God, I hate this experience, all these plastic pill bottles. But then the thing that was like absolutely crashing and appalling was that I learned that these supplements were made with animal-derived ingredients. Like, what the heck? So I was like, no way, there must be another way of building these type of products. So I started researching and I couldn't find a lot of transparency about all of these. What is in my supplements? Did you use any animals to make these supplements? And after a while, I thought, I want to build like a supplement brand that resonates with vegans' values and our lifestyle, our way of like purchasing products. And that's how I started. And it wasn't an easy journey. It hasn't been an easy journey. It's been like really tough and challenging in many ways.
Especially starting in September of 2020. Contextually is just such a wild time. to start anything. Now that
Oh,
we look back, of course, at the time, it was different, but and not even good or bad so much as just a wild time to start something.
absolutely. And at that point, a lot of people started supplementing more than ever. There were
Mm,
news about like the use of D3 to prevent COVID, and you need to take
that's
your
right.
vitamins. And the demand of supplements and vitamins during COVID spiked to, I don't know, I think it grew like somewhere around 12 to 15%, which
Wow.
for a re-established market, that's insane growth. So that was a big challenge for a small company like ours because the demand was so high that manufacturers had so much work that they couldn't take on like a small new companies because it takes time to figure out the formulation and try the product and see like all the R&D phase of building like a new product like is
Right.
pretty complex. And they were like, yeah, we don't have time, we don't have the space. And so it was difficult to get their attention and close deals. And it was very challenging. Also, there were a lot of ingredient shortages at
Mm,
that time,
mhm.
and transportation was like very difficult. And a lot of ingredients come from Europe, from Asia. So it was hard to get some of the ingredients. In our case, we only use sustainably sourced ingredients that
Mhm.
have no impact on natural ecosystems, the way we source them. And we work with some providers in Europe and Asia. So very difficult to get those ingredients on time. And
Right.
we ran out of products and we had inventory issues. So it was very challenging. It wasn't easy.
How has Terraseed then persisted through that?
Mhm. I think it has persisted because we are a very stubborn team, basically. And because we are very mission driven. And
Right.
I think when you build a business, you really need to understand why you're doing it. And if your why is not strong enough, chances are that you're going to eventually quit, right? Because it's just building a business is just so tough, it's so hard. And it's a roller coaster, but the downs are really intense, the same as the ups. But I think in this case, it was just like knowing we're doing the right thing, being very encouraged about our customers, like the industry, were giving us the feedback. This is necessary. This is a good idea. You have to do
Right.
it. You're making an impact. And being very mission driven, I think it's been super key to overcome all the hurdles and all the challenges.
So you mentioned that you went vegan originally for the environment, and then classically all the other dominoes fall shortly behind that. When did you go vegan? How long have you been vegan now?
I've been vegan since 2018.
Okay.
That was so how many years? 5 years, 6 years almost.
That's the same year as me.
All right. Awesome.
Mhm. Mhm.
Before that, I had been a vegetarian for quite a long time, but I think it was also not just the diet, it was more like the mindset. I think veganism, and I could say I follow a plant-based diet, but it's a different thing, right? I think my
Right.
mindset is like very vegan now.
Mhm.
Uh, Something else that I've been working on for a number of years is a documentary about the reality of the meat industry and the animal factoring farms. And like when I started working on that documentary, it was just so mind blowing. And it was so
Mhm.
horrifying that once you get to know all that truth, I think there's no way back. Like you just,
Exactly.
there's no way you will ever eat anything that comes from an animal, knowing the level of suffering that is involved.
You can't unsee it.
Mm-mm. I think we've been shooting this documentary for a few years now, and we've been following an organization called Direct Action Everywhere, DXC.
Mm.
They're pretty controversial, I would say, like in the way they fight for their mission and to defend the animals. But the founder always says this is a fight against lack of information. That's the main problem,
Mm.
right? Because it's so hard to actually swallow all this information. Like people don't want to know. And the minute they come close to this type of information, they shut down, they just don't want to hear because it's so hard. It's so tough to hear this truth, right? For me, I dove right into this is a situation with animals in the US, and
Yeah.
it was devastating. So animals became as important as the environment for me, for sure, after knowing all that.
So it's funny we're chatting today because I just once in a while I'll share a post on social media. And mostly, it seems in my experience, speaking personally, men get very upset at me for talking about going vegan and talking about how you don't need meat to survive. It seems to upset a few. And one reel this week got a bunch of comments, and one thing was about how you have the supplement with B12 and that's not real. And so it's not a diet or a blah, 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 which I know you've encountered or heard
Oh my God. Yeah.
a million times. So what do you say to people who have that defense when you're like, yeah, you should take B12 on a vegan diet or XYZ?
hmm I think there is a very easy explanation for B12. At the end of the day, we should be getting B12 from leaves of plants. And because we clean everything and sanitize all our vegetables, there's no way we can actually take B12, right? So animals do it for us,
Mm-hmm.
or do it for some people. They just eat all these plants. They store B12 that can be obtained through their meat for humans to consume or like to take these B12.
So
I think there's
everyone is potentially deficient in B12 because of how our food is handled now, correct?
absolutely, that's correct.
Right.
Like you take it from animals, I take it from a supplement that doesn't involve
Right.
any animal suffering. Like that's
Right.
is with omegas. A lot of people don't know this, but omega-3 comes from normally algae in the
Mm-hmm.
sea, and fish is the same situation. They eat the algae, they take all these omegas from the algae, they store that omega, and then you can kill the fish, you can take the oil of the fish, and you can obtain omega-3. But what if you remove the middleman and go directly to the source of omegas, which is, you
Algae.
know, the algae? And you can even take it further. For example, instead of going to the sea to obtain the omega-3 from algae, in this case for Terraseed, we actually work with this ingredient provider that grows the algae indoors in a very controlled environment. So there's no any harm like that is made to marine ecosystems, and the quality of the oil is amazing, super high.
Right.
Why you don't even need to go to these natural ecosystems or natural environments to actually source these ingredients. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Like,
Right.
why shouldn't I take my B12 or my omega from a supplement that I know is being made with sustainably sourced ingredients instead of
Right.
going to animals or go?
And I'm
So I
always
think it's
so scratching my head because when you look at the supplement industry, so much of it is aimed at non-vegans or whoever the hell will buy it.
oh,
There's so many people that aren't vegan that are supplementing all these things or whey protein or whatever it is. But something about the vegan diet and it having to think about B12 makes people lose their marbles.
yeah, it's so interesting, Carly, because we've even had that feedback from vegans, like, why you don't need vitamins when you're on a vegan diet. You don't need to supplement. You get
Mm,
everything you need, even like some forms of B12 can be found in some plants.
mhm,
And like I think the US as a country, I think is 80% of Americans supplement. So
mhm.
there is like
Wow.
a culture of supplementation, making sure I have all my nutrients. And even if I follow like a very healthy diet, I still like to supplement. I think there is a cultural aspect of supplementing.
Interesting.
You don't see that in Europe, for example. I'm
That's what
originally
I
from
was just going to
Spain.
ask is what is that
Yeah.
comparatively to other
Oh my
places?
God. Yeah. I would say in Spain, I'm originally from Spain. I think probably like 25% of people
Wow.
supplement. So it's a very different, culturally, it is a very different situation.
Interesting. It's a quick fix
I
or the
know, but
idea of one. Not that these
yeah.
there aren't validity to things, but I feel like
Mhm.
some of those in that industry is selling this quick fix to everything with this one bottle of magic.
Yeah, and it's easier. Also, health insurance is not so easy to access health
Mm,
services. So I'm going to make sure I get all these nutrients. I think for vegans, I think it takes time, as what I was saying before. I think it takes time to figure out nutrition. And I think you have to relearn how to cook, how to prepare your meals. And it takes time. So I've always envisioned Terraseed is an all-in-one multivitamin for people who want to cover their
yep.
bases, like their basic nutritional needs.
Yep.
And then once you learn and once you feel more comfortable with your nutrition patterns and your nutrition habits, then you can start thinking, okay, maybe I only need like an essential. And there are a lot of 3 ingredient multivitamins in the market, like with the omegas, the D3 and the B12. Or you can think about only supplementing with B12, or you can just, start experimenting with different options. And I think it's great.
Mm.
But I think in this case, Terraseed is being crafted for, I would say, people who are starting this journey and want to make sure they're getting everything they need.
I was just thinking of how you were saying we've had even vegans say, I shouldn't need this. But I know that there have been people who have said, oh, wow, I can feel a difference.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the number one feedback we always get is how people feel after taking our supplement for a while, like more energy, they feel more focused, more able
Mm,
to concentrate. They feel their mood improves, they are sleeping better. So we get all types of feedback. And at the beginning, when we start, especially when we started working in the formulation and we came up with the first version of the formulation, we tested it with a lot of people. We made a lot of interviews and we wanted to understand, what is this doing for people? Do you really feel the
right.
difference or not? It also depends very much on how depleted you are in some of these nutrients. For example, if you are B12 deficient or omega-3 deficient or D3 deficient, and you start taking these high doses of all these nutrients, probably you're going to feel it. For people who are more balanced and they have like higher levels of all these ingredients or these nutrients, they won't feel the difference maybe as much. For
That
people
makes
who
sense.
are, yeah, for people who are depleted, they feel it right away.
That's really exciting to see that there is a desire for a sustainable vegan multivitamin that is, and validating doesn't feel like the right word, but like
Mm.
that this thing you're like, I need this, and it doesn't seem to be out there is desired. It's a need. When I was really diving into, I was already vegan, but paying more attention to nutrition. I wanted exactly what you described, which was I was like, I want to take one thing. I am not going to have all these bottles or this different stuff to think about. And Terraseed just fits the bill. So it's really exciting to see that this desire is there and growing.
Mm. And I think a lot of people, when they learn things like this industry, we created this study about the impacts of the supplement industry on animals and the environment.
Mm.
We learned that the US supplement industry contributes to the killing of 24 billion animals every year, billion with a B.
Holy shit.
And most of them are fish. To create omega-3s, it takes up to 100 fish to create one single pill bottle of omega-3s. It's crazy because what you get is a concentration of their oil, right? And you have to kill that fish in order to do that. And then hundreds of millions of sheep and chicken and cows. And what people don't know is that supplements use the byproducts of these animals. So the bones, the tendons, the fat from pig skins or from sheep's wool or from bones from cows. Like, it's gross. It's horrible. So it's just
It's so
like the
gross.
leftovers of all these animals are used. And there are like some ingredients like magnesium stearate, which is made to actually is a substance, it's like is made as powder and is used in supplement capsules machines. So the capsules don't get stuck in the process. So it's just like a substance that is used in the manufacturing process. It's not even like a
Mm.
nutrient. And then gelatin that is widely used for gummies and for capsules. That comes from mostly from the skin of pigs.
Figuring out what gelatin is should be, honestly, I don't know how that's not the tipping point. Just,
I know,
ugh,
it's crazy.
yeesh.
But supplement brands are not forced to disclose this information in supplement facts labels. So you will never know that they are using animal derived ingredients. So actually, we've
Wow.
partnered with, yes, that's crazy. So we've partnered with this nonprofit called Animal Safe Movement, and we are running a campaign to make a petition to the FDA to include a section in supplement facts labels indicating the use of animal derived ingredients. And there is another
Mm.
organization that, what was their name? Sorry, I just blacked out. Med, that's the one, vegan Med. And you can go to their website. They're also making a petition to the FDA. And we've been talking about maybe joining forces
Hmm.
because there is a condition for some people, if they take animal derived ingredients, they get really sick. Is this a condition? So they are putting together a list of supplements and drugs that don't have any animal derived ingredients in them.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So for different reasons, they are making the
Fascinating.
petition to the FDA. Yeah. So I think if you're a vegan and you do it for, especially if you do it for the animals and the environment, and you learn that all your supplements are made with animal derived ingredients,
Right.
it's not nice. It's not a good experience.
Oh, and from what you're describing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I just imagine as the supplement industry, especially with that boom in the last few years, it sounds like the Wild West.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? The FDA doesn't require companies to actually present any proof of what they are doing or how they are doing it. There is a certificate of analysis and a third party testing that you can do as a company, but
Hmm.
it's not mandatory. It's a
So that's just something you have to do on
voluntary.
your own with your own money, with
Yes, and only if you want to be that transparent. But a lot of brands, they just
why would
don't.
you?
Why? And it takes a lot of money and time and effort. The good news is that like consumers are becoming really smart and really demanding. So they are saying, okay, unless you show me that what you say is in these capsules, the real thing, I'm not going to buy it. So a lot of brands are starting to present like the certificate of analysis and the third
Mm.
party testing. And I think things are changing because I think consumers are becoming more cautious and they are demanding that type of information, which is great because traditionally this has been like a very opaque industry.
And oh,
Things
sorry,
are
go.
changing a little bit. No, I was just going to say that things are changing a little bit. And also with plastic, it's crazy. The same industry creates 2.3 billion plastic pill bottles every year, and only
Oh, that's
9% of that plastic
devastating.
is recycled. Only 9%. As you probably have these numbers, Carly. So it's crazy. Ends up in landfills or the ocean, becomes microplastics. And even we actually take microplastics every day through water and through food, and it's crazy. So for us it was like so important, like the packaging aspect of the product, and we're the only brand in the US using fully biodegradable packaging, which also was like a super challenging endeavor
Can
to
you
put.
tell us a little bit more
Oh,
about, in terms of sustainability, what does
mhm.
that mean for Terraseed? Because we've touched on some of it, and especially with the ingredients.
Mhm.
But what else does sustainability mean for Terraseed?
Yeah. Packaging is a big thing because if you compare the amount of product and the containers are pretty big and bulky and it's a lot of waste. For us, like when we started Terraseed, we were thinking, okay, let's find the most sustainable solution out there. And there was nothing. It was all plastic or glass with a plastic cap or aluminum cap, or which is very polluting. Aluminum
Mhm.
is very polluting to manufacture. And then it's very recyclable, which is the good part. And then glass is not as polluting to create it, but then it takes hundreds of years to degrade. So it's a
Mhm.
very, and it breaks and like it's not as clean or sustainable as other materials. So for us, it was a no brainer. Okay, we have to find like a different solution. So we found this cellulose that it was made with sustainable forests and it was degradable. It was biodegradable, which was great. For us, it was like, yeah, that's exactly what we want. So that's how we started using these bottles that are like made with cellulose and biodegradable. And we thought it was a great solution.
Can
But
be thrown
then
away in the recycling, correct? Those ones.
you can recycle them and you could also compost them if you have
Mhm.
a industrially compostable facility
So not
in.
backyard compostable.
Yes. You could actually bury it in your backyard and it will take a few months to degrade.
Okay.
Also, have you heard about this Lomi bean?
Those, yeah.
Yeah, we ran some tests with that bean and it decomposed with
Very cool.
the Lomi bean. Like it's possible, but I think for a lot of people just don't have a backyard or they just feel, yeah, I'm not just going to put all these bottles here every month or. So we decided to move to a different system where we actually have like pouches because we are a subscription based sort of company. When you subscribe to Terraseed, you receive the supplement at your place every month. So instead of sending these bottles every month, our customers were like, no, I want you to send me the capsules in a different way. So it's not like I don't have to use all these bottles. It feels too much
Mm.
packaging. We started using like these refill pouches and you can now we send you like one empty bottle at the beginning of your subscription and then we offer bottles for free. So if you lose your bottle and or it's like damaged or whatever, you can claim another bottle for free, which is great. And that's been working really well for us. The problem with this type of materials is that if it's not in touch, if it's not touching like the soil, it will degrade like slower at a slower pace. For example,
Mm.
if this bottle ends up in a landfill full of surrounded by plastic and it's not touching the soil, it's going to take way longer to degrade.
Right.
Way less than plastic, but still it won't happen in 2 months or so. It's just so interesting because when you start like digging into the sustainable packaging space and oh my god, it's just not
I
easy
can't
to
imagine.
navigate these. You have to be very cautious about how you present your messaging and how to explain to consumers what are the implications of this packaging. So it's challenging. It's still a very, yeah, very young industry, and I think there is a lot of room for improvement. There's been like some companies in the US and Europe that they are working, for example, upcycling some materials or
Mm.
some elements like fruits and vegetables that are discarded, and they create materials made with that are way more compostable than cellulose, for
Right.
example. So I'm sure at some point we will move on and start using other materials, but for now, this is the best option. And we came up with these tubes in a way that they protect the product and they've been life tested, shelf life tested. So we know that they are like very good to protect the capsules from oxidation. So we are very happy with this packaging, but there is a lot of room for improvement.
So how do people then discard of the packages? that they come in now versus the bottle?
So our recommendation is if you don't have an industrially compostable facility, just recycle them. They are super recyclable, and that's probably like the easiest and cleanest way of like recycling or like
Right.
giving the packaging another life. But if you have a composting facility in your city or in your town, yeah, you can totally use it. Or if you have like a Lomi bin or you have like a compost bin, that's another way of
So the pouches are also able to be
oh
backyard
yeah,
compostable
absolutely.
as
Yes.
well, because I don't have an industrial composting facility near me. The nearest one I think is 5 hours away.
Hmm.
And our local recycling center only takes one and two.
Wow.
There is even, I think, when we talk about access to all these things, even just where you are regionally, then, and what you can recycle and what you can get rid of is a whole different conversation.
I know, Carly.
So
That's why
it's great to hear that both the bottles and the pouches can be thrown backyard compostable,
oh,
because
yeah.
where I'm from, that's way more common.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. You could just dig a hole in your backyard and burn them.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, no problem. It's interesting because the recycling industry, which is also a beast, is huge in the US, is also not very happy with these compostable solutions because that means it will take away their business. So there's some tension there between yeah, like the compostable or compostable packaging companies and then the recycling industry.
That's so interesting. I have never thought about that, and I know it's money, but that's so frustrating because I just my hopeful, optimistic brain is just, but aren't we here for the same mission?
No.
Come on, you want to make more money because of recycling?
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah, it creates a yeah, like it's a very profitable
interesting.
industry. But I think this is going to change because at the end of the day, if the customer wants that, and I always
Mm,
thought one day I really want to walk into a grocery shop and don't see any plastic at all. Like just get all the packaging compostable, recyclable. And I think we're getting closer. We are getting closer. I think this Lomi bean that I mentioned before, I think
mhm.
is just such a great solution.
So we're talking
And
about a small I just want, for people who might not know what that is, we're
um,
talking about a countertop composting device where
yes,
you can throw in your foods, organics, compostable material, and it is
mhm,
going to turn it into soil, correct?
that's exactly what
Okay,
it is.
just to make sure everyone.
And this press is put on, and within 24 hours, even less, like the next day, you just open your bin and all this waste is being turned into soil that you can
So
toast
interesting.
or backyard or yeah. It's amazing. And they actually did this crowdfunding campaign and they raised like
Mhm.
7 million or it was
I
crazy.
saw that because it started from that Pila case,
Yeah, they are the
and
same company. They
yeah,
are the
I've
same
used
company.
them from like the for you start looking into things when you go into this eco-friendly journey. And
Mhm.
for whatever reasons, they were one of the first companies that I found that I was like, oh, I need a new phone case. Oh shit, phone cases are made of plastic. I wonder if there's an alternative. And actually, one of the kind of first places I was like, I'm supporting an eco-friendly company. When you
Oh, that's
dive
so nice.
into your environmental journey, you're like, look what I did. I thought,
And we partner with them, as I said before. We were making running some tests with our packaging, and I think they're into something. And I think that's the future. Probably like coming back from doing your shopping and then just like tossing all this packaging that is compostable into that bin and then
interesting.
taking soil. I think that's the future of packaging, and I'm very excited. But as I said before, there are so many dynamics and hidden agendas and a lot of things happening there that we're not always aware of that as much,
Right.
and it's pretty crazy. But that
Hopeful about the future of this space and of kind of the markets shifting. Is that true?
absolutely, yeah, I'm very optimistic actually. I think sometimes when it comes to sustainability and climate change and I think a lot of people are very pessimistic. I see new generations really being convinced that's the only way to go with diet, with habits, with purchasing decisions. I think new generations are very eco smart, and I
Yeah.
think they're going to change things for sure. I'm an older woman. I'm 52. In my generation, it was a completely different thing, but I see it in my kids and other kids. I think I'm very hopeful that these new generations are going to change the game for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm 31 and I already feel like the generations below me are so much more aware of things at a younger age than I
Absolutely.
ever was. And so it's that rapid change in that way is exciting just to see how it's normal for Gen Z to talk about climate change,
Oh yeah. It's part
and
of
that
the
is pretty cool.
conversation. Yeah, it's great.
That is
The
pretty
terms,
great. So,
how they use the terms, and you
yeah.
yeah, you catch them like talking about climate change and this and that. And it was like, wow, there's a conversation I never had when I was your age, like 16 or 17. And
Not
yeah.
even a chance. No, not even a chance. So I, for a few years now, have been inspired by your honestly just tenacity in this space and your ability to keep pushing despite it being a world that is not vegan and not necessarily sustainable, and your positive attitude is contagious. So, I appreciate that energy, and I am also curious how you stay in that space or try to stay in that space. Like, how do you take care of yourself in this world?
Wow, it's not always easy. I'm going to start with
Mm-mm.
that. I think it comes with your personality a little bit, like how you're built. Yeah, I always say that my mantra is stay focused and stay positive. I think that's taken me a long way with Terraseed and in my previous companies. I think this being my third company is helped a lot. I had my previous company was actually acquired by a bigger company in Boulder. How that's how I moved with my family to Boulder in Colorado, and building being my third company. I think I know what's coming. I'm not surprised. Like I know how to tackle certain situations, and as I
You're
said
not as
before,
surprised by the highs and lows.
yeah, that's exactly. You're going to have so much of highs and lows, and all the time it's just finding that space that is like the eye of the hurricane, the eye of
Mm,
the storm. Is that how you
mhm.
say it? Eye of the
Yep.
storm. And that's where you just find your center, which in this case is your anchored to your mission. And then you just operate from there, and you always focus and go back to your mission. Always like, why, Maria, why are you doing this? And that gives you the strength you need. And not only the passion, because I think passion is a short thing, like it just fades away. Whereas purpose, which in my mind is the same as mission, is way more powerful. Like it's there to stay, it's there to guide you as a North Star with everything you do. It makes sense. And it's something we have to go. We have to do, sorry.
Mm.
We have to do it. It's just that for me, it's just a no-brainer. And the lows and the hardships and the difficult times are almost like it comes with building a new company
Yeah.
and a new approach and trying to break through in an industry and try to bring innovation, and it's going to happen, and just having faith on one side and being very positive about that, and also knowing the harsh reality, be prepared for whatever comes. I think that is a combination of these two things for me.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share with listeners that I haven't given you space to do?
We just launched multivitamin for kids.
So
Uh,
fun.
I'm so excited because a lot of like vegan kids and vegetarian kids and kids who are raised by these parents on a plant-based
Mhm.
diet, and it's not easy to find formulations created specifically for them. We're excited that we are supporting nutritionally like these
Yeah,
superheroes, these kids who follow a plant-based diet. And yeah, it's been amazing, really, like launching the product, and it, it's doing really well. And yeah, I'm very proud of that product too. Not only the multi for vegans.
it's really great. It's been fun to see that one unfold as well.
Yeah.
I will share information about Terraseed in the show notes so people can check out the website, check out the work that you all are doing, and get their vegan vitamins.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was really nice to catch up with you as well.
Thank you, Carly, for having me. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, and thanks for everything you do. It's amazing.
Thank
Uh,
you. Right back at you.
also,
If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode of Consciously Clueless. And for that, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, tag me when you share on social media, or share this episode with others who may be interested in the topic. Any sharing truly means the world to me. Until next time, stay consciously clueless.